Welcome to the video. My name is Oliver King, and in this video I'm going to be developing film for the second time in my life. The first time was last night to just give this a trial run. But I just wanted to see some of the results that I could get developing film in my own home. And so I bought a little kit and a few things to develop some film that I shot on the Pentax K-1000 and a Nikon OneTouch 100. So I got a couple of little film cameras that I've been working with. They're both 35mm. And so I'm going to just kind of show you the process that I used, and hopefully we get some good photos out of this. I haven't scanned them yet, but I have developed one set of them, and there seems to be some pictures on there anyways. So I'm going to run you through the process, and hopefully we get some awesome photos out of this. All right, the first thing that I'm going to show you here is just my setup. And so as you can see, I have a water bath. I have my containers, the different chemicals I'm going to be using, and these are the cameras that I use to take the pictures. So there's the Pentax. The most important thing that I'm going to have next to the film is just this container that's going to house the film canisters while I'm pouring the chemicals in. It's essentially light proof, and this is where the film is going to go. And these are the kind of sprockets or spools that you're going to put the film onto. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to first be putting the temperature consistent for all of them. Some of them are temperature sensitive, so what I'm going to do is throw them in this bath, this water bath that I have prepared. And you can get temperature control devices, but something that you can do that's a little bit cheaper is just get a sous vide. And so this is just a sous vide that I got off of Amazon. I think I paid something like $70 for it, 50 to 70. I think I had some kind of discount or some extra Amazon gift card money lying around. So I got this for a little bit less money. But the nice thing about this is that you can control within 0.1 degree the temperature of your chemicals, which is nice because it'll be good and consistent. I don't think you actually need to do this. I think you can just go with warm water the first time you're going through it, but I kind of intend to do this quite a few times, so I'm looking for something that can maintain a little bit more consistency, and this seemed like a pretty good option. So I think you could actually probably get away with a little less than what I've got here for a setup. All in all, this cost me about $230, I think, in total to do. And so I think you probably do this for a little bit cheaper, but like I say, I just kind of bought some stuff that would last and stand a little bit longer so I could develop more and more rolls of film and just kind of do this consistently. So it kind of depends on if you're doing this one time, if you want to do this a lot of times, how much money you want to sink into it. Because as you know, photography is an endless well of money, so you just need to buy what you think is necessary and see what you can get away with. The other thing I want to just suggest you to do is just get some distilled water and use the distilled water to mix all of the chemicals. All of my chemicals came in kind of powders, they came in little bags, and they give you instructions that are really good. So what I would suggest you do is just kind of follow the instructions, mix up your chemicals, get those set to go, and use distilled water to do that process. Just because if you're in a city that has really hard water, like the city I live in, it won't interfere with the chemicals and it won't leave you having streaks on your photos at the very end of this. So hopefully we do get some photos out of this as well that aren't streaked and all messed up. Again, I don't really know what I'm talking about so far, so there's probably a few mistakes I'm making. The other thing I'm going to do here is just throw on my GoPro so you can see what I'm doing with my hands so that this process is a little less confusing. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to get all my chemicals up to temperature. So I have my 4 bottles here, developer, fixer, stopper, bleach, and then I also have a stabilizer at the end, which is just in the other room in a beaker. The part that's going to be the most challenging is kind of doing the spooling of the film, and this is the part that you don't want to do first thing in the dark, which is what I did yesterday, and that was a little bit more challenging than I wanted it to be. So I got a little bit of a tip here for you if you want to just practice this. Close your eyes or go into a dark room, and then what I want you to do is just practice this and get it at least 4 times in a row right. So as you can see, it slides kind of into these little spaces here. It's going to lock into these kind of 2 little teeth on the inside. And then all you do is just kind of slide it on. You just kind of go back and forth and your film should slide right on there. This is what the film looks like to start off with. So it's got that little tail sticking off. So we'll pull that out, and what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this little piece off. Nice and even cut. So once I get into my dark room, what I'm going to do is just crack that open with a bottle opener, and I'm going to draw the film out, and then I'm going to spool it onto this guy. And like I say, try it and practice it at least 4 times in a row. I'm just using some old negatives that I don't care that much about. And so what I want to do is just make sure that I have the ability to slide that on there. And it is harder than it looks, trust me. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do now that we have done, in my opinion, the most difficult task, which is actually getting stuff into this without putting a whole bunch of light on it. I'm going to just take my first chemical out of here, which is my developer. Just going to get the water off of that on the towel. Towels are very useful during this whole process as well. I'm just going to use my phone for this as well. I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. And so what I'm going to do is grab this little guy, which is going to turn my film. And so I'll have to be stirring it as I'm doing this. So here we go. We're going to add the developer. It's nice that these have the little label on the top as well, because then I am less likely to mix them up, which is totally something that I would do. Our developer is in there. We don't want to spill the developer on everything because it is not a good chemical. So we're going to stir that 4 times. And then every 30 seconds, we're going to come and give it a little mix again. And we're going to keep everything clean as we're going along. I know that this is just water and not chemicals. So it looks like I'm spilling things everywhere, but these are actually really great bottles. And this is actually a really good mechanism too for keeping everything contained and manageable as you're doing this process. Okay, so I suggest you doing this in a sink or over a covered area, and just hold this guy on here and it'll pour right from the lip. I really like the design of this container. It's such a smart way to make this easier. And get all of the developer out of there. Okay, and I'm just going to close this right away. I think I'll squeeze some of the oxygen out of there. And there we go. Ready to go for the next time. Okay, so we've had the developer go through there. And now we're going to add our stop bath. Again, just dripping water everywhere, not dumping chemicals. Then we're just going to stir this once and let it stand for 30 seconds. So this one's a little bit different, so each of the chemicals has different times. And so just follow the instructions. That's all I can say. Is it's made everything a lot easier to just maintain consistency with following the instructions. And again, I'm no expert, so I might be doing this entirely wrong, or might be some things that I can adjust as I'm moving along, but instructions are good. Okay, so we're all set up here. Hold the edge here again. Nice and clean. Squeeze the oxygen out. The air, I should say. There we go. Now at this stage, I'm going to exchange the water that's in here. So I want to get this up to, I think the Fahrenheit was between 95 and 102. So warm water, not hot water. And then we're going to exchange the water in here 3 times. One, 3. Rock and roll. Okay, so we've rinsed it 3 times. We're going to add the bleach mixture here. I don't know if this is actually bleach. It doesn't look like bleach to me, but apparently it's some type of bleach mixture. So I'm going to start my timer, pour in the chemical. It's kind of a yellowish orange color, so I guess I just don't know that much about these chemicals. So we're setting that one to the side, and we're going to mix it a few times right at the beginning. And this one is going to be a total of 3 minutes. Exchange our water again 3 times. Okay, so we're going to throw our fixer in now, and again we're going to time this one. So I'm going to throw that guy in here. Get my water everywhere again. And this time we're going to do this for just a little bit longer. So apparently this last part is the stabilizer. I do have some stabilizer from the kit, but I was recommended an additional bottle here. just because the water in our city is just so hard. So I don't want to get those streaks. So I'm going to open this guy up. I used the other stuff yesterday, so I'm going to, there we go. Creativity. Okay, and this is a ratio of what is it, 1 to 200. So I just need a very small amount of that. Mix that up like a real chemist, and there we go. This is the last stage, so hopefully I'm not going to ruin it at this point by doing something different. Boom! This is the moment of truth where we're going to find out if we have some photos. So I'm going to take that part off and fish out my photos, and we're going to hang these up to dry as well. Well, oh, it looks like I have some images on there, so that's a really good sign. These are the ones I took with the Nikon, so they should be interesting. I'm going to hang these up to dry. So I'm going to put them in the shower actually, just so that they don't have dust everywhere. And then I'm going to grab the ones that I developed yesterday. And then we're going to cut those out, scan them, and see what we can turn them into. So thanks for watching the video. We did end up getting some negatives, and I think they have some images and everything on them, so I'm assuming they developed well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to include some of the pictures that I took at the end so you can see kind of the final process. I'm going to hop onto Photoshop and invert the negatives and colorize them. So hopefully that part of the process isn't too challenging for me. I practiced scanning a little bit, but my scanner's resolution is pretty low. And so if you're seeing kind of a low resolution picture at the end of that, it's just because my scanner is not that great. So in the future, what I might do is either get a different scanner, or what I might try out is just taking pictures with a macro lens, which I do have. So this is kind of just a quick solution to this, just so that I can show you some of the images that developed. So I hope it was fun to at least watch me try doing that. It's a process to learn, but I think after about 5 iterations of doing this, I'll probably be a lot better at it. The chemicals that I got came in a little kit, and I think that's a really good place to start at. It's just a little bit simpler when you don't have to think about buying everything separately. So all of the components I had were just little packets that you mixed into the water. The temperature control is obviously the most challenging part if you don't have something like a sous vide or a temperature controlled tank. But I think just using warm water, warm distilled water, is probably a good way to get started with that. So this was a lot of fun, a nice little project to do on the weekends, and it's a nice way to actually feel out the whole process for photography, just start to finish. I'm really getting more into kind of the film photography, so I want to get better at developing things. I want to get better at kind of going through the whole process from start to finish of the photo taking. So this was a fun trial for me. So thank you for watching. I hope it was useful, or at least interesting to watch. And let me know if you have any tips for me as a beginning film developer, and that would be very helpful to me. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.